I chose to read The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as some one gently rapping of my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor?" I muttered, tapping my chamber door. "Only this, and nothing more." Ah, distinctly, I remember it was a bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow from the lost Lenore. For the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken and uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still be beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door." Some last visitor entertaining entrance at my chamber door. That is, and nothing more. Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating no longer. "Sir, and I, or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so greatly you come rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, nothing more." Deep into that darkness, peering long I stood, there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortals ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token. And the only word here spoken was whispered, "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back to the word, "Lenore!" Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul with me burning, soon again I heard the tapping, somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is nothing at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart beat still a moment at this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when with many flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. None the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with the main lord of lady, perched above my chamber door, perched above a bust of ballast just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird, beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by this grave stern decorum of the countenance it wore, "Though my crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Praetorian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discoursing so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little reverence bore. Ever yet was blessed in seeing bird above the chamber door? bird or beast, the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word did not outpour, nothing further than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before? On the morrow he will leave me, as he hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled at the stillness broken by my reply, aptly spoken, caught from the unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his song's one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope and melancholy burden bore of nevermore. But the raven still begully all my fancy into smiling. Straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird, and bust the door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore. But this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt and ominous bird of yore, meant in croaking, "Nevermore?" This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This, and I sat divining, and my head at ease reclining on this cushioned velvet lining that the lamp goaded o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamp light gloating o'er, she shall press, nevermore. Then methought to the air grew denser, perfumed and unseen, censer swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tuttled floor. "Wretched," I cry, "thy God hath let thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore." Quaith, this kind of nepenthe and forgot this lust Lenore, quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet, and I thing of evil, prophet is the bird of devil. Whether the tempter sent or went tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate, yet undaunted, in this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet, and I thing of evil, prophet still is bird of devil. By the heaven abends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul and sour laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp in Satan maiden whom the angel named Lenore, clasp a rare radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Be that the word our sign in parting bird or fiend, I shrieked upstairs, "Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of the lie thy soul had spoken. Leave the loneliness unbroken. Quite the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart. Take thy form from my door." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." And the raven never fitting, still sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above the chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon that is dreaming. And the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out the shadow that lies a-floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.